In this next fly tying video, I'm going to be tying up a pattern that I call the purple one. It's one that I've actually kept kind of quiet for a while. I have tied it up for a few people, and time again they come back and say, can you tie me up more of those buzzers? The reason behind it catches fish. It really is a handy little fish catching pattern, and it's the first buzzer that goes into my fly box, certainly one I wouldn't be without. Now you might say, yeah, that's just down to confidence, etc, etc, perhaps, but this is definitely a pattern that I will have in my tackle box, and it's one of the first ones that go into my onto my cast when I'm fishing buzzers. If the fish are hard on buzzers, this is one of the first ones that goes into my cast, and with a good reason. It's caught me fish on many different reservoirs in the UK and many different small still waters too. So yeah, it's one I've got confidence in, and if you haven't tried it, give it a bash. It's really easy to tie and it's very effective. This is the purple one. Let's go on the fly tying. The hook in the vise is a talon claw size 10, and the thread I'm using is Semperfli Classic Wax 8/0 in black. Obviously I'll go into a thinner thread if I was using a smaller hook. Now what I'll do is I'll catch the thread in. What you might notice is I'm actually catching the thread in using a reverse thread wrap. Now the reason behind that is it just helps promote a nice smooth body to it, because each time I wrap the thread in, as you can see there, the thread actually kind of lays nice and flat and open without me having to constantly kind of spin and twist it. So if you're to tie, if you're a right-handed tyer, usually you'll find that you're going, if you look at the hook as a clock face, for example, you're going in a clockwise fashion. With these I'm actually going in an anti-clockwise fashion, and that just helps that thread, as you can see there, just open up with each thread wrap. For the tinsel, it is Semperfli fine tinsel in purple. I have seen a pattern, someone's kind of tied very, very similar, which they used a very horrible off purple to it. It needs to be that nice dark purple. So I'm just going to trap that in. And just work the thread wraps back up towards the hook eye, back down. So you can see I can work quickly there without having to constantly open up my thread. I get this nice smooth body to it. It's not all that hard to do. Once you get the hang of it, it's kind of pretty simple. I'm just going to build in some taper here quick. Build in the taper however you like to, but some taper I think is good. You don't have to do too much. You can obviously make it as thick as you like to. So just to show you, I've tied them. I've tied some with a slightly thinner body to them, so you can see they've just got a bit more of a thinner body and a bulbous head to it, so they work just fine too. A few extra wraps, I can use the rotary function of the vise, and I like to try and keep the tinsel wraps kind of just inside the body width, or around about there. And now what I'll use the tinsel to kind of act as a bit of an anchor, so I can reverse my thread wraps back to a conventional right-handed thread wrap. Okay, and I'm going to work my thread wraps back down to where I want the cheeks. It's amber flexi floss for the cheeks. So I'm going to use just a single piece, like a small single piece here, just so I can show you something in different ways you can cut the flexi off and the kind of impact it has on your flexi. So if you're wasting flexi floss and it's fraying on you when you use it for cheeks or anything else, I'm going to show you a quick tip on how to kind of avoid that. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to create a loop in my thread. I'll just catch it all in there like so. The reason I do this is if you're tying a lot of these, I just find your arm gets tired having to put a lot of thread wraps in. So with this, it just allows me to, in a very rough, crude manner, just add a lot of bulk really quickly, like so. And I'll take it out once I get to kind of mid-section there, like that. I can snip that off. So the reason I do that, if you're tying a lot of patterns or you're tying a lot of flies during the day, your arms just get tired. So it's just to help with the the fatigue, I suppose, in the arm. Right, and then just neaten up a little bit, push those forward. A couple of turns in front, behind, and then in front. And I think I made a mistake there. Let's just pull that forward. Okay, just all I'm doing there is I'm just pulling those so I can neaten them up a bit. Get them side by side. Okay, so you should end up with something that looks along those lines there. I'm going to pull that tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put an extra one in there just to make sure. Okay, I'm going to kick that out of the way so if I bump the hook, that doesn't just fall off the front and then I lose everything. Now, what I was talking about, the flexi, if you're wasting any flexi floss, this is how I normally do it. So I'm going to take the first piece, and when I'm nicking flexi floss off, I'll try and get my fingers nice and tight to where I'm nicking off. Now the reason I do that, as you can see there's minimal fraying if any, whereas if you hold it with a long tag like so and you put it under pressure and you snip it, you can see there you get a lot of fraying. So if you're losing a lot of your flexi floss, or you're wasting a lot of your flexi floss to fraying, that's more than likely why. Okay, I'll trap in. I'll finish off there with finish. Pull that tight. Then to finish this all off, bit of varnish, or in this case UV resin. I'll always start at the head or the thorax section, and I'll soak in as much of the brush as I can. 2 reasons: I want that to really soak into the head section, but also want to minimize the amount I'm putting into the body section. So you can see that I just kind of work it up from the bend of the hook up like that, just coating the body now. And let's seep in a bit. Run that through just to make sure we haven't blocked the hook eye, and then finish up with a torch.